And welcome in, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And I'm here with my man, Pags. How's it going, man?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. It's
Yeah.
been a busy day yesterday and morning. So this show is actually kind of a, a nice break.
I can appreciate that. And you know what? We start off this morning, like literally just happened a few minutes ago. The Eagles made a trade.
Yep.
They trade a third round pick, which isn't a bad pick, for Santana Dotson, a fifth round pick, of a third round pick, and two seventh round picks for Santana Dotson and a fifth round pick. I
I mean,
Nice.
that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup. And what
Yeah,
he
I
was,
mean it's interesting that it's in division.
that's rare, especially since their return. You said what they got a third and then a couple of sevenths.
Correct.
So, I mean, they got a third basically. I mean,
Well, I
sometimes
mean
it
the
works out.
sevenths wind up getting used to be able to sweeten the pot later.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So
Sevenths seem to be a. We'll throw this in as a trade piece, but then you end up with teams like Arizona that had like 14 of them. So
right. But Johan Dotson, not Santana.
yeah,
Yeah, Johan Dotson. Um, I wonder what made them go after this guy. I mean, I know that they were interested in um, having a slot receiver. Kid's 24 years old, does have some speed. Did go to Penn State. He's from Newark, New Jersey, so he's relatively local.
Mhm.
Relatively. Um, Over his 2 years with the Commanders, he's had 84 receptions for 1,041 yards and 11 touchdowns. He had 7 touchdowns last year.
I mean that's not bad considering what he's going to be your third option.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be slot guy.
So
So,
I mean those are the kind of numbers you expect out of a slot guy. Is you know 5 to 10 touchdowns possibly and about 500 yards. Like it's kind of what you expect that guy to be, unless he's a you know an Edelman or something where he's going to be somehow your main guy. you know,
well, I mean, I guess he would wind up being like the number two guy if one of the guys gets hurt.
sure,
So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, but I mean by design he's going to be your third option.
without a doubt, and maybe even fourth when you're thinking about Dallas Goddard.
Yeah, yeah, true,
So, but
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, but
Well,
interesting though. Interesting that Washington traded in division. And I guess it doesn't matter though, because the Steelers were also going after him. And if the Steelers were offering like a fourth and a seventh round pick, I mean, how do you sweeten that pot? You give them two seventh round picks and make it a third.
a third, yeah,
And
yep,
you give us a back a fifth round pick as well. So
yeah.
all right, I can take that.
I mean, if the Steelers were looking at him, they could definitely use him based on how inept that offense looked last week.
Well, right. I mean, but I think the ineptness is coming right from the quarterback position.
Oh, there's no question.
I
There's no.
feel like that the last good game that their starting quarterback began was played with you guys.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. He was pretty horrible there in Denver. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, realistically, his last couple of years here in Seattle weren't fantastic either, it but they were nothing compared to what he didn't do in Denver and what we haven't seen out of him so far. Through camp and preseason, him and Fields, like neither one of them have looked good.
So there were people talking, and I will talk about the head honcho of our network
Okay,
believes that he is a Hall of Famer,
Russell Wilson,
Russell Wilson.
he'll get in.
Really?
Yeah, he'll get in. So he has a ring. He's been to two. He set just about every rookie and like every rookie record. Basically, he set, and then you take that a step further, and most of the things, most of the like yardage totals and stuff inside of your first 10 years, he's in the top numbers. So he'll get in. Obviously, he won't be a first ballot, right? Being as the tail end of his career here has not looked fantastic, but he has enough numbers. He'll probably get. I mean, let's be honest. Eli's going to get in. Russell Wilson get in.
I'm interested to see when Eli gets in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody was talking to somebody about Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And they gave me a really good explanation on how somebody gets decided, or what they thought is how somebody gets decided to get into the Hall of Fame. They said when you go back and you talk about the history of the league,
Sure.
that during that person's time, you have no choice but to mention him.
Yeah.
I don't know that I feel that way about Eli Manning.
Oh, I don't. I'm just saying he'll get in.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I don't know that I feel that way about Russell Wilson, although you're making an argument about how all the rookie numbers
yeah. So
are great.
he
Excuse me.
has enough stats in the beginning of his career, certainly through the first 5 years, but even the first 10, that his record-setting paces are the first to get to certain benchmarks. So those are the things that early 2000 or early 2010s, the Seahawks come up, right? And Russell Wilson will be part of that conversation. So it was, Russell Wilson being able to, he was elusive and be able to make all these late game comebacks because he had a ton of those. So, I mean, he has a solid case. He won't be a first ballot, but he'll get in. Eli, on the other hand, he gets in solely because he has 2 rings, because his numbers, I mean, the only number that's impressive is his consistent starts, right? His streak of starts, impressive, right? Dude never got hurt. Or if he did, he played through it anyway. But outside of that, the numbers weren't good. The wins weren't good. Interceptions weren't good. Like, he's the most average dude ever, but he has a Manning on the back and he has 2 rings.
That being said, I don't know that that makes it automatic. Froze up, huh? Comcast is doing wonders over there. I can tell.
Man, it's going to be a day. It's going to be a day. But yeah, no, I mean, I actually don't think he should be a Hall of Famer, but he'll get in because it's a voting contest. And, at the end of the day, if your numbers are good enough, and for him, he takes down an undefeated Patriots team, he ends up getting in. I don't agree with it. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame caliber guy. I look at Hall of Fame as, and this is something that would go against Russell Wilson, is, were you ever the best of your era, right? Like that's usually some of the criteria, right? Were you at least in that conversation? Eli was never in the conversation of being a league MVP or the best quarterback in the league or any of that. Like, he was never in that conversation. And when you look at Russell Wilson, he also suffers that same fate of, he was never, I mean, he never had an MVP vote. So it's, it's just kind of that end of it goes against both of those guys. But, again, I think Eli gets in just solely because he has the 2 rings. Because if he doesn't win those Super Bowls, we're not having this conversation.
Not at all.
At all. Because his numbers aren't as good as Phillip Rivers. And Rivers isn't getting in.
Right. And the other thing is that, I mean, he only beat one quarterback, in the Super Bowl. That's it.
Sure.
And truth of the matter is that he didn't even beat him. It was the defense that beat him.
And a couple of miraculous catches.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, but as much as people like to say wins aren't a QB stat, I mean, they kind of are. because
Well,
we grade QBs on wins.
yes, we do, but I mean, let's pull him up. Let's see his all time, and
He is a
he's
exact
really young
500.
too.
He's a 500 quarterback. Eli, I should say.
Of course he
I, I,
is.
I guess I don't know which one you're looking up, but
I'm looking at Eli right now.
okay,
Yes.
yeah. So he's a 500 QB. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing impressive about those numbers, and the yardage total is only as high as it is because he played as long as he did.
Right. Right. He's got 57,000 yards.
Sure.
How many touchdowns does he have? 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions.
Mhm.
He threw for close to 2,700 first downs. Yeah, these are about as crap as you can get.
Yeah. No, and that's why I say, like, if he doesn't have those two rings, he'd be behind Philip Rivers getting into the Hall.
Right.
Those two rings are what, especially the one against the undefeated Patriots. That's the one that cements his ticket because people remember that as the Patriots were this juggernaut and all of this, and then this team that wasn't even that good that year goes through the playoffs, catches a run, takes them down. And it solely because of the story, it gives it that David and Goliath element to it that people like. And so, I mean, it'll get him in, and I guess cool. But yeah, without the rings, there's no chance.
And here's the other thing that I'm just going to go back and forth here real fast. Okay. So, in the playoffs, he's only been to the playoffs 6 times.
Yeah.
In those playoffs, he ran the table twice. 4-0.
Yep.
The other 4 times, he was out in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crap.
Well, and like even when you're looking at his yardage totals, like there's nothing great. His last 4,000 yard season was 2009. He played 5 more years after that. He only, like, 2011 I think was his best year.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 5,000 yards. Like that was probably the only year that you could have even made some reference to him being one of the best in the league.
See, and this is the other thing. He made the Pro Bowl only 4 times.
Yeah, and he was never an All-Pro, right?
Never an All-Pro.
So I mean, like, so when you're thinking of the Hall of Fame, I tend to think of guys that were one of the best at their position, and not for a one-off year. Like, you're consistently one of the best at your position, at least in the conversation of MVPs. If you're a quarterback, if you're another position, obviously nobody else gets a chance to do that, but since that's a quarterback award now. But if I can think of during your era half a dozen other guys that are better, I mean, are you a Hall of Famer?
So here's another interesting stat that I'm looking at right now. He's led interceptions
Yes.
3 times. However, one time he led the league in fourth quarter comebacks with
Yeah.
game-winning drives. He had 5 fourth quarter comebacks and 6 game-winning drives in
which
the
makes sense if you're
2011
turning the
season.
ball over. If you turn the ball over a lot, you're behind.
Right. Well, he only had 16 interceptions that year. That was the 2011 where
Oh, okay.
they wound up beating. That was the game, the time when they beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
I believe that was the undefeated season. So, but yeah, three different times 20, 25, and 27 interceptions for the year. Otherwise, he actually didn't do too badly with interceptions. There were years where he had, like, you could arguably say, I mean, he was on a 6-10 team in 2014,
Mhm.
but he threw 14 interceptions and how many touchdowns? 30 touchdowns. So the touchdowns were down. He had 4,400 yards, but he was on a 6-10 team. So you could feasibly say that that had nothing to do with him.
No, I would say that the defense is probably at fault for that one. But then you go what to the next year,
Where
13.
he, well, no, I'm saying that was 14.
Oh, that was 14.
2015, he did make the Pro Bowl because
Yep.
he had 35 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. They were same 6-10.
Yeah. Well, what was let's see, what was the record in 13? Like I can't imagine it was good because it was
7-9.
so there you go. And he threw 18 touchdowns and 27 interceptions. So I mean,
That stinks.
that is terrible.
It's. I mean, there were. I mean, but that was one of the years. Interestingly enough, he has had only one year where he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Um, and in the beginning of his career, he was close. It was 24-17, 24-18, 23-20,
Mhm.
21-10 in 2008, and he actually made the Pro Bowl there.
Sure.
Obviously, they did not make the Super Bowl because they were one and done out of the playoffs, I
Yep.
think, by the Eagles that year. Um, 27-14, 31-25, and that 25 he led the league in interceptions. And they were 10-6 that year. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I mean, he did get better, I guess, as his career went.
I mean, I don't know if better is the right word. More
Well, I mean,
consistent.
yeah, yeah. I would go with that. More consistent
Because let's face it, it was
until the last few years, and then he was bad.
right. The 3-12 year. That's a good year. Yeah, but you think about that. He had two 6-10s, one 7-9, one 3-12, one 5-11. Everything else was 500 or above.
Yeah.
So minus this his rookie year where he went 1-6 that year, but that's not. I don't count that one.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even like you got a full year, right? Like you got part of a year. I don't know.
So while I'm on this one, let's go and take a look at Russell Wilson. Let's see what he's got to say. And, and Russell Wilson's rookie year. So, you know what? He's got 9 Pro Bowl appearances
Yeah.
in 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant. His
That's why I
win
say like
loss,
he'll get in.
yeah, his win loss is like 115-72-1. He's got 43,000 yards at the moment.
Mhm.
Led the league in touchdowns one year. And never threw more, even with Denver, never threw more than 13 interceptions in a year.
Yeah.
And that year, he threw 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
one of
I
his
mean, he
best
doesn't turn
years.
the ball over. Like I will give him that. He is he's good with turnovers. Like he's and when you look at his QB rating, right? Like he's one of the top rated guys every year, year in, year out.
Yeah, he actually has an average of a 100.
Yeah, which is awesome, actually.
Right. Yeah, and then he led the league in sacks a couple of times.
Yep.
Last one being 2022 with Denver, but
Yep.
48 sacks, 47 sacks. Yeah, actually he's been sacked a tremendous amount.
Yeah, I mean, some of that, obviously falls on the offensive line, and some of it falls on him running around, not getting rid of the ball, right?
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of those mobile guys do end up with a lot of sacks because they think they can get out of stuff that maybe they should have just thrown the ball away.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm just looking at his record in the first 4 years: 11-5, 13-3, 12-4, 10-6, 10-5-1, 9-7, 10-6, 11-5, 12-4.
Yeah.
His first losing season was in 2021, where he still made the Pro Bowl, and he went 6-8 that year in 14 games.
Yeah, and what he threw for 25, only had 6 interceptions and 103 passer rating. So I mean, like you can blame a lot of that on how bad that defense was.
I can imagine. Only 3,000 yards. He only threw for 3,000 yards that year. So
There's a lot of 3 and outs.
yeah, I can
That,
imagine.
that year was painful.
But was DK there? Was DK the one really catching most of the balls at that time in 21?
21, I believe he was there already.
That was his rookie year, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. But no, Tyler Lockett would have been his main target. But I mean, that being said, it was a real problem with the offensive line. And so a lot of that was he was kind of running for his life a little bit.
Right. And his playoffs got progressively worse.
It was a lot of one and dones.
No, actually not. Only one and done.
Oh, was it second round? Was get out of the wild card and then lose in the second round?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, 1-1, 3-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-1, 0-1, 1-1, 0-1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the 0-1, 1-1, and 0-1, that was the last 3 times, right?
And Russell Wilson was sacked 427 times in his first 10 NFL seasons. There's only one other player sacked 400 plus times through 10 seasons since the merger.
David Carr?
I don't know. It doesn't give me the answer, but let me see.
I was going to say, because he still holds the record for a single season sack total at like 50 something, if I remember right.
Yeah, I want to find out, because it doesn't say. Let's see. Can you name who is the guy? Is it going to tell me? Can I name him? Wow. One other person, you'll never guess. He was an Eagle.
Yeah?
He was an Eagle.
Who do we got?
Randall Cunningham.
Really? Okay.
From 1985 to 1994, he was sacked 409 times.
Wow.
And one of those years, he didn't even play. He got hurt. Phil Simms has 396. Roethlisberger 386. Tannehill with 383. And as I go down this list, let's see where your guy shows up.
So he's way down because he only played for 10 years. So but this is why I thought it might have been him. One of his 2002 sacked 76 times.
Yeah, that David Carr has only 267 sacks.
So 2002, 76, 2004, 49, 2005, 68, 2006, 41. Like he was getting lit up back there.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought, oh, it could have been him. That dude spent as much time in the grass as anybody.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay, that's. I would have never have gotten that right. I would have
Cunningham? Yeah,
never have guessed that Cunningham was sacked that many times.
no.
But I guess that's what happens when you're trying to keep, the play going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the thing is, and that's the thing with Wilson, right? Is he's scrambling around and he's not scrambling to run, he's scrambling to extend a play. So then you can find yourself in a position where you're facing the wrong direction to get the ball past the line of scrimmage. So now you're getting sacked.
Right.
And so I mean, you would watch Russell Wilson out there doing pirouettes and stuff, and it's fine, right? It's like backyard football. But if you can't get away, you know. So we did talk about the Dotson trade at the beginning of the show there, Scott.
Could the Steelers offense be extremely bad this year?
And
Yes.
that's actually what we followed it next with, was how bad they look. It's actually what started this conversation now is it spurred into, will Russell Wilson be able to get into the Hall of Fame? And he will. Like he'll be able to get in. Obviously, the way that he's been playing over the last couple of years probably delays when he gets in. He may not be a first ballot anymore, but he's done enough things that he'll get the nod to get in. Eli, on the other hand, I know he's going to get in, and I just don't see anything about his career that makes me think, hot damn, that's that dude.
Yeah, I don't see anything either, but
Justin Fields starting by week 5, you could be right, especially if it looks anything like preseason has so far. The problem is he also hasn't looked good. So they may just have 2 guys in there that don't work in their system very
well. Which sounds about right. That's they draft people well. They don't free agent well.
I did think that Wilson was going to have a little bit better time there, just because that offense is a little bit like the one that he excelled in here in Seattle early in his career. It's run first. It has a great defense. He does have a deep threat in Pickens. Like I thought, maybe some of that stuff would work out for him. And maybe it still will. I mean, who knows? But what we've seen so far does not look great.
Nope. And I look for Pittsburgh to have their first losing season in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I mean, bad line, he should be used to, right? He had a bad line here in Seattle for half of his career here, and, didn't have a great one there in Denver. So he's going to go back into something familiar, I guess.
So I was watching a little bit of The Herd, and The Herd is like, saying, hey, this guy stinks. PU. Like the coach in Pittsburgh, that they're blaming this on the coach. Like, hey, can't say like, hey, listen, it's you've been great for so long, but you stink this year. What you're doing is like you've been floating around with these offensive coordinators, and every year you're switching offensive coordinators, and it's now become more of an issue. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you got somebody who's got a little bit of talent, which I think Russell Wilson does have a little bit of talent, although it's definitely had a little bit of talent. Doesn't.
I mean, he's still better than what they had last year. So this is the only thing that I feel encouraged about moving into this season for the Steelers is even though Wilson isn't who he used to be, right? Is he better than Pickett? Probably. Is he better than Mason Rudolph? No question. Better than Mitch Trubisky? Of course. So I mean, like, and those guys
Is he? Is he though?
better than Mitch?
Yeah, right now. Right now.
I would think so.
He hasn't shown that.
What have we seen out of Mitch? Like,
Mitch actually took them to the playoffs.
sure.
You know what I mean? More recently than Russell's been to the playoffs.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I would think that Wilson's skill set is probably better than those guys. I'm not saying leaps and bounds. Like, again, he's not the guy he used to be.
Right.
Not trying to argue that at all. Like, he is clearly not that dude. But I guess I just don't hold Rudolph and Trubisky in high esteem. Like, I'm just
I don't blame you.
like, I'm just like, they are. It's like, okay, I mean, there's a guy catching snaps. That's the way I look at him. Like, they're.
Well, I'd say you have that. I mean, I don't know. I think Pittsburgh is just a train wreck right now, anyways. And
Sure.
You know, everybody thought they were going to have high hopes for this season.
So they're blaming this on the coaching, not the GM that brought these guys in.
Well, the GM can only do so much. They still have to play.
I mean, yeah, but if you bring guys that we haven't seen anything good out of, like, I don't know.
Yeah, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, like we didn't see anything good out of Fields, right? I take that back. We saw he could run. Because that offensive line was terrible, and he ran for his life most of the time. Yeah. So he did have Lockett here in Seattle, but I mean, I don't know. I would think that Pickens is going to be able to do something. I think, or he's going to run into a problem where Wilson has ran into a problem most of his careers. He just doesn't like check down guys. Like, he wants to push the ball, which is why I really thought if the Steelers were going to do something, they should have went after Ayuk. Like, they should have went and got that guy, because that's the ball Wilson likes to throw. He doesn't want that, like, let's move down the field ball. He wants the I want a chunk right now guy.
Right. Well, the problem is that they wanted 2 first rounds for Ayuk.
Yeah.
They could suck something.
For real. Especially after this season when someone can get him for nothing.
Right. Because he's not going to stick around unless he gets franchised, which would really piss him off.
Yes.
That'll be fun to watch.
I'm here for it. In fact, I hope that the Niners end up in a dumpster fire. I think that'll be fantastic, being a Seahawks fan.
I can imagine. I can have.
But that does get us to the middle of the show here. Let's do the thing, wherever it is. There we go. Here we go.
This is Reggie Jones, owner and founder of Air Sports Academy. Air is based on the 4 core principles: heart, education, integrity, resiliency. Air is about developing student athletes physically and mentally through training, mentorship, and effective marketing. We've created a platform and a blueprint for our state to shine in the brightest of lights. I created this program because it was a need for our state. We needed to have the light shine on the student athletes in our region, and now that is happening at an all-time and undeniable rate. We created a lane for the kids in our state to get their college education paid for and set their families up for future success. We created an environment where serious athletes can now come compete fearlessly. We've achieved this through our variety of elite programs. Our 6-month off-season program, where first-year starters or seasoned vets can all come develop. Our 5-on-5 program, which is all about our line. Our youth tackle program, which is the first and only youth tackle team from the state of Washington to ever win a major national championship. Our 7-on-7 program, which is ranked top 10 in the country every year. Our high school 11-on-11 club tackle program, which creates a unique and much-needed opportunity for our kids. Our college prep program, which allows our graduates to come back from college and prepare for the upcoming season. Our track and field program, which creates an opportunity for our young air boys and air girls to continue to get faster. When you're a national program, you receive national respect, which is why when you look at recruiting boards and top player lists from around the country, you'll always find players from Air on those lists. Which is why college coaches from some of the most prestigious schools around the country come into our facility to recruit our players. The Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Stanford, Florida State, the list goes on. Our players are being recruited, offered, and committing to some of the top schools in the nation. The experience our players and families receive is second to none. We offer a competitive brand of sports at Air. We are the ball. And with that comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is Air.
And of course, have to mention that the national streaming sports, or professional streaming sports, I guess it is now, is starting to partner with BetUS. So you can bet alongside us here at National Streaming Sports. All right. And yeah, Miami, you're not wrong. He would not like it there. He doesn't like it where they have a chance to win. So, you know, I don't know if there's any making him happy outside of just giving him an insane amount of money.
Yes, because who doesn't like an insane amount of money?
I mean, I'm a fan. Like, I've tried the being broke thing. If somebody wants to write me, 8 figures, I'd be about it.
Me too. I would do that.
I mean, I'll just try it out. I'll see if I like one better than the other.
I'll figure out where I'm at. Just keep paying me. Put it in a bag.
Exactly.
One lump sum in a bag. I'll take it. But anyways, so we did something yesterday. So now we're at and I wanted to continue with it today. We did the cards. And today we have baseball Donruss. 8 cards in this pack.
All right.
Let's see who we get. And as we choose these guys, as we talk about each one who they are, let's discuss on whether we think they will be Hall of Famers or not.
Okay.
Well, of course, this first card, I don't believe he should be a Hall of Famer, but he is already, and that is Scott Rowland.
Okay. And why don't you like him as a Hall of Famer?
Because I don't think that, when I think about the, great third baseman and
Sure.
great players in the game, he doesn't ring to me. You know what I mean? This baseball Hall of Fame has been the Hall of somewhat good. And I don't like the way they vote people in or anything like that. So I'm just not a fan of this.
So I hate the way they vote people in because they leave people out that are no doubters. And then you have guys that are like, why are you here?
Right. Scott Rowland is one of them.
I got you.
He doesn't have the numbers to be a Hall of Famer, but they didn't have anybody else. He was the best of a bad bunch.
Oh, I mean, sometimes that works. Right.
Yeah. Lucky you.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're the best of the worst, hey.
And then next one is Emerson Hancock.
Okay.
He is with Seattle, so you should know him.
I don't, though.
Okay.
Huh.
He is, what's his numbers show? Yeah, he's got last year he played in 3 games. He started 3 games. He had a
That's why.
4.5 ERA.
So he spent most of his time in AAA.
Yes.
Got
So
it. That's why I
yeah,
don't know.
there you go. Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know. Is he really that good enough to
To be a Hall of Famer, I don't think so.
300 wins?
Oh, okay. He's better than I thought.
Yeah, that is a lot better than I thought too. So no, scratch that. 200 wins.
Oh, okay.
See, it's
I
very
was
small. It's
I was
very
like
small.
300 wins. I mean, that could get you there.
Yeah, and he's not. I mean, he's still playing, obviously.
Sure.
200 wins, 128 losses, a 3.53 ERA out of 400 and I'm going to say 78 games.
Okay. I mean, it's solid.
Yeah, not too bad.
I don't know if that's Hall of,
2,300.
I don't know if that's Hall
2,300
of
strikeouts.
Fame. I don't know if that's
Not
Hall
yet.
of Fame, but I mean, it's solid. Like those are good numbers.
Yeah, I think so. The next one on my list here is Mr. Sammy Sosa.
I mean, obviously.
He's there. He's there. The next one is Relvis Martinez.
Not familiar with him.
He is a prospect for Toronto.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. Why I don't know who he was.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who knows?
he is a prospect. The other prospect that we have on this list is Carson Williams, who is a prospect in Tampa Bay, which means that I should probably put this in plastic because he's probably going to be a great player
Yeah.
for somebody else.
Yeah. Right.
Then you have here's an interesting one. This is what? This is an optic. This is an optic one.
Oh, okay.
David Ortiz.
Oh, I mean, again, obviously.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Yep.
And the last guy, which is a blue one. It's a blue thing here. And Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, sweet. Obviously, also.
Yes. And that looks like, yeah, and that's a Seattle picture.
Yeah.
Did he go into the hall as Seattle Mariner?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like him better than in the as a Red.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
wow.
he didn't really do anything as a Red.
No, he did not. But it's kind of interesting that I got literally 4 Hall of Famers in this pack.
Yeah. Like, it's not a bad pack.
These cards ain't worth a penny, but
No, definitely not.
but yeah, at least we know. So there we go. We got 4 Hall of Famers in there. 1 potential Hall of Famer there. That's if I foresee his future moving forward with Tampa Bay
And
Rays.
Atlanta Falcons cornerback AJ Terrell agreed to a 4-year extension worth $81 million, 65.8 guaranteed. That broke right about the beginning of this show.
How about that? Look at that. People getting signing and stuff like that. There was something that happened the other day, and the Flyers. I'm going to talk a little bit about hockey for a half a second.
Okay.
Because it was something that came across my feed, but didn't hear much story about it. And next thing you know, it's like, where is it at? Where is it at? The Flyers had somebody who was supposed to be a good player, and he's like, we are putting him on waivers. He screwed up his contract.
Resident Belgian coming in. I like it.
Yeah, and he's a Mariners fan. He's a Seattle fan in general.
Yeah.
So Where's he at? What happened here? All right, let me just go to the Flyers. I guess that's going to be the best way I can do this.
So while you're looking that up, I found it funny that people were super excited that the Broncos announced Nix and that the Raiders announced Minshew. Like, you didn't already know those were going to be your guys, right? Like, when you're looking at the Broncos, did you really think Stidham was going to be the dude? You already knew Wilson wasn't. So, I mean, unless Nix was just absolutely horrendous, he was going to end up winning that spot. And for Minshew, like, they had O'Connell, right? Like, you don't bring in Minshew thinking O'Connell's the guy. Like, we watched O'Connell. He wasn't special, right? So the fact that people were like, yay, these are our guys, like, well, I mean, yeah. Just thought it was funny that people were getting excited about something that felt very obvious.
Okay, so here it is. The Flyers placed forward Ryan Johansson on unconditional waivers for the purpose of terminating his contract due to a material breach. Johansson never appeared in a game for Philadelphia after arriving in March 6th trade with Colorado and sent defensive Sean Walker, a 2026 first-round draft pick, to the Avalanche. We received a conditional first-round pick in 2025, so that's coming up. But we're unable to do so. They were trying to send him down to the AHL, but they couldn't do it because he was injured. And now they got this, he's got a hip injury. He claimed to be injured when we traded for him, so we had him see doctors. They found an injury, so now he's going to rehab. You can't send down a player who's injured, so he's going to be doing rehab until we don't know when, blah, blah, blah. So he's not been so great, but he did have a high contract. And now by waiving him, he's cleared waivers and stuff like that. But I found it very interesting that this has even happened in the first place. You know what I mean? Now he's actually going the opposite way and filing a grievance on the Flyers because he feels that, yeah, files the grievance against the Flyers saying that, he was was placed on unconditional waivers and saying that he shouldn't have been. They're terminating his contract. Ryan Johansson has a severe injury that requires extensive surgery, which has been scheduled. Since being traded to Philadelphia, has worked in good faith with the club and his medical staff. Flyers' attempt to terminate Ryan's contract is disappointing, and we're contacting the NHLPA. Yeah, this sounds to me like he's faking it.
Right?
There has been rampant speculation that Johansson has been embellishing and even completely faking his injury because he didn't want to be traded away from the Avalanche. Wow. That's a big statement there.
That is a monster allegation.
This is done by Yahoo. So Yahoo Sports wrote this.
Yeah. But, I mean, so the team doctors found something, though, right? Because it says that he has surgery scheduled.
That's so funny. Yeah, well, they say he's got, but here's what it is right here. Here's what some social media users have pointed to instances of Johansson dancing and enjoying himself at his wedding as proof that his injury is not as severe as he says. Ryan Johansson got rung up on the footloose rule. No dancing when you're unable to play hockey for the Flyers after playing a lot of hockey for the Avalanche and presumably being healthy enough to be traded.
I mean, the thing that's funny is worker comp claims will do the same thing, right? If you say, "Oh, I got hurt at work, I can't do anything," and then they see you out playing pickup basketball or something, they will cancel your claim. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Clearly, you are fine." So it would actually make a ton of sense if they're like, "Well, we're not going to pay you if you're saying you're injured, but then we see you out there not being injured." I get that.
Right.
I can see that being a breach of contract.
And he was lifting his bride up and made a joke to my friend that he doesn't look that injured.
Man, you definitely can't say stuff like that.
No, you can't. That's a dummy. That's a dummy.
What was his contract that's getting voided? Like how many millions did this guy just give away?
Let me see. Let's see if I can pull that up. What his contract is.
Because if that's a voidable thing, that means he's not getting any of it.
Right. No, he wouldn't be getting any of it right now.
Yeah.
That's why it's a breach of contract.
Exactly.
$8 million.
Hope that dance was fun.
Well, he didn't want to play for the Flyers anyways.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like he still wanted that $8 million.
That's what I would say, but not anymore.
I mean, if nothing else, he should have went out there and then just faked another injury during a game.
Right. Like, hey, ooh, ow, I stepped on the ice and I hurt my skate.
Yeah.
My skate really hurts.
Right? I mean, yeah.
Get him. $8 million. That's a lot of money for somebody anyways.
I mean, for $8 million, even if it's a team you don't love, like, why aren't you just getting out there and playing? I don't understand. Like, I would play for a bad team if they gave me a ton of money, and the other option was you're not playing.
No. All right. It was only $4 million.
Okay.
It was an $8 million contract for 2 years. So it's
Okay.
a $4 million
And
cap
so
hit.
he got the first 4 of it already.
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he never played a game last year for the Flyers at all.
Oh, but he was on the roster.
And,
I got you. Okay.
And faked this injury, so it's like he
got $4 million to just like hang out. I mean, I guess I'm not mad at the hustle, but I like sports enough. I would want to play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, whatever. Hey, whatever. Everybody's got their thing, and he went out and got married. Congratulations to him. Thank you for dancing, because now you've just made sure that you do not pass go, do not collect $200. No money for you.
That was an expensive wedding.
Yes, it was. And now they're going to file the grievance. The grievance, what'll probably happen is that the Flyers will probably give him like $500,000 and be like, get the frig out of here.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there'll be some settlement just to make it go away.
Right.
And yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, unless they have video of him doing that stuff, and then
they do. That's what it is. Where he picked up his bride.
He's boned.
Yes.
They're not going to give him anything.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
I would absolutely not.
They're going to file the grievance. NHL is going to be like, yeah, you're dumb.
Hey, and by the way, Eves, don't even think. You guys, I'll make this bet right now with everybody from Seattle, every single person from Seattle, that we are about 2 full games better than you guys this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that bet because I think that's accurate. Yeah.
So when you saw me with the trophy, you're going to see me holding that trophy.
I mean, I don't know if that's true either, but but yeah, no, it's yeah, the Seahawks are still a little too far away to take a bet like that.
Correct. And yes, we talked about Johan Dotson. Let's see. He's going to be obviously. We were talking about it earlier, how we expect that he's going to be the 4th option in this offense in the slot. Obviously, the 3rd receiver option, but the fourth option in total, and maybe even fifth when you start to include Saquon Barkley in the mix.
Yep.
So I know that the Eagles were definitely trying to find, they did not care for any of the receivers that came into camp. And the one receiver they were backing on decided to retire.
Hmm.
So that's the reason why about that. But we'll see. He's got some speed to him. He's got some decent hands. And now he's on a winning team. So he might just be better just in general because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if that's your fourth option, that's a great fourth option.
Correct. Correct.
That brings us to the end of the show. Hour always cruises right along. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. If you're watching on Roku TV, be sure to stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, guys.